You are warmly welcome to the Principles of Marketing class. We are going to look at section 3 under unit 4, factors influencing pricing decisions. By the end of this session, you should be able to identify the 3 broad categories of factors that influence pricing decisions. Discuss the 3 primary considerations of demand influences. Explain the 3 basic factors of supply influences. Demand influences on pricing decisions. Demand influences on pricing decisions. With pricing decisions, we have both demand influences and supply influences. The demand influences comes from the customers, and the supply influences come from manufacturers or marketers or producers or suppliers of the product. We are first of all going to talk about the demand influencing on pricing decisions, how customers affect the pricing decisions. Demand influences on pricing decisions concern primarily the nature of the target market and expected reactions of consumers to a given price or change in price. How consumers react towards a given price or change in price. There are 3 primary considerations that influence pricing under demand influence. We have the demographic factors, the psychological factors, and the price elasticity of demand. Demographic factors, psychological factors, and price elasticity of demand. We will take them one after the other. Demographic factors. Demographic factors that are particularly important for pricing decisions include the following. 1. The number of potential buyers, their ages, educational qualification, gender, religious group, ethnicity, the religion that they find themselves. These are the demographic factors. One aspect of them, the number of the potential buyers, their ages, the educational qualifications, their gender, ethnicity, their religion, and etc. Another demographic factor includes the location of the potential buyer. The location of the potential buyer. What is the geographical location of the potential buyer? Another one is the positioning of potential buyers. Are they resellers or final consumers? Are the potential buyers going to buy the product so that they'll be able to sell it to the final consumer? Are they going to act as a middleman, or they are going to consume the product themselves? Another factor we need to look at is that the expected consumption rate of potential buyers. Is it something they would consume frequently, or something they would consume once in a while? The economic strength of potential buyers. Are they higher income earners, lower income earners, or middle income earners? Are they employed, or they are not employed? Are they working and being paid, or they are working and not being paid? This actually forms the factors of the demographic variable. These factors help determine market potential and are useful for estimating expected sales at various price levels. So when you come up with a product, before you could set a price, first of all, there's a need for a marketer to look at the demand influences of pricing. So when we take the demographic factors, for instance, you ask yourself, are my buyers located in this specific place? How old are they? What do they do? What is the educational qualification? Are they going to sell the goods, or they are going to consume? Are they going to consume it often or for a while? Do they have enough income to be able to purchase the item or not? The psychological factors. Psychological factors related to pricing concern primarily with how consumers perceive various prices or price changes. how they perceive various prices or price changes. For example, marketing managers should consider these. 1. Will potential buyers use price as an indicator of project quality? This is what marketing manager needs to look at, because some people just perceive the quality of the product looking at the price. Will potential buyers be favorably attracted by odd pricing? Odd pricing comes in when you charge, let's say your competitors are charging 2 cedis and you happen to charge 1 cedi 99 pesos or 1 cedi 98 pesos. Will the potential buyers or the prospect be favorably attracted by your odd pricing strategy? Again, will potential buyers perceive the price as too high relative to the service the product gives them? Can the price be compared to the service that the product is going to give them? Let's assume I take out 100 cedis for a breakfast, and the breakfast is being given to me. If I look at the face of the breakfast, even without tasting the breakfast, I ask myself, is this breakfast equivalent to the amount I am paying? The garnishing alone, is it equivalent to what I am being paid for? Then also you go to a hotel room and you are paying, let's say, 1,005 cedis for a night. You ask yourself, the services which are being rendered to me, is it equivalent, or does it worth it with the money I am paying out? Again, marketers should ask, are potential buyers prestige-oriented or therefore willing to pay higher price to fulfill this need? Prestige-oriented in that, are they willing to pay a higher price that communicates a higher quality product with them? Are they willing to pay a higher price to fulfill their needs? Then 5, how much will potential buyers be willing to pay for the product? This you can interrogate your potential buyers, or you can observe their buying pattern. Are they people who can pay a full amount for a product? Are they people who can pay a higher amount for a product? Or there are people who can't afford a higher amount for a product? These comprises of the psychological factors in terms of demand, influence, and pricing. Another demand influencer of price is the price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity. Both demographic and psychological factors affect price elasticity. Price elasticity is a measure of consumers' price sensitivity, which is estimated by dividing relative changes in the quantity sold by relative changes in price. With the price elasticity, we kind of look at the change in the percentage of the quantity demanded over the change in the percentage of the percentage change in price. We are looking at the percentage change in quantity demanded and percentage change in price. Although difficult to measure, there are 2 basic methods commonly used to estimate price elasticity of demand. With price elasticity, the first measure can be estimated from historical data or from price or quantity data across different sales districts. So you can pick 2 different prices from historical data or from price or quantity data across different sales districts. Then secondly, price elasticity can be estimated by sampling a group of consumers from the target market and polling them concerning various price or quantity relationships. Both of these approaches provide estimates of price elasticity, but the former approach, which is estimated from historical data, is limited to the consideration of price changes. You can only use it when there are price changes, whereas the latter is often expensive with questions raised on the validity of subject responses. How valid are the responses of the subject we are using to undertake the price elasticity. These are the interpretations of the price elasticity. The price elasticity of demand equals to percentage change in price divided by percentage change in quantity demanded. There are two formulas here when you are calculating for the PED. PED consists or constitutes the price elasticity of demand. The formulas include the Points formula, and the ARC formula. We won't go into details with regards to the formulas because we are limited in this context. We have the Points formula and the ARC formula. Let us look at the interpretations of the coefficients. If after calculating for a price elasticity of demand or a PED and you get a coefficient of 1, it represents a unitary elastic, meaning that the percentage change in price is the same as the percentage change in quantity demanded, and therefore you get a coefficient of 1. A PED greater than 1, signifies an elastic demand. This could be interpreted as consumers being very sensitive to changes in price. Thus, a 1% increase in price will lead to a drop in quantity demanded of more than 1%. PED, which is lesser than 1, if you get a coefficient of lesser than 1, it is known as an inelastic demand. This could also be interpreted as consumers being insensitive. The elastic demand is when consumers are sensitive to price. With this, we are talking about consumers being insensitive to changes in price. Thus, a 1% increase in price will lead to a drop in quantity demanded of less than 1%. When you get a PED which is equal to infinity, this is a perfectly elastic. Thus, a change in demand doesn't cause a change in price. So the perfectly elastic has a demand curve of this way. That is when we say PED is perfectly elastic. PED, which is equal to 0, signifies that there is a perfectly inelastic demand. Thus, a change in price doesn't cause a change in quantity demanded, meaning that when producers or marketers increase price, it doesn't cause a change in quantity demanded. When they decrease price, quantity demanded does not change. It doesn't influence quantity demanded. And this can be represented on a graph like this way. Supply influences on pricing decisions. How do suppliers influence pricing decisions? Supply influences on pricing decisions can be discussed in terms of 3 broad factors. These factors include 1, the objectives of the suppliers, the cost which is being incurred, and the nature of their products. The objectives, the cost, and the nature of the products. The pricing objective. Pricing objective influences how suppliers price their products. Pricing objectives should be derived from the overall marketing objective, which in turn should be derived from the corporate objectives. So the price of the product should come from the marketing objectives, which also looks at the corporate objectives set by the top level management. Since firms maximize profits in the long run, it is often thought that the basic pricing objective is solely concerned with long-run profits. Pricing objectives looks at long-run profits and not just the short-run profits. However, the profit maximization norm does not provide the operating marketing manager with single unequivocal guideline for selecting prices. Prices can be set looking at the current situation. In addition, the marketing manager does not have perfect cost, revenue, and market information to be able to evaluate whether or not this objective is being reached. There is a need for marketing manager to look at how costs can be perfected even though they don't have, and also how they can extract their revenues and market information so that they can evaluate whether the objectives would be reached or not. The cost considerations in pricing. The price of the product usually must cover costs of production. It must cover costs of production, the promotional cost, distribution cost, plus a profit for the offering to be of value to the market. Mostly, the price of the product comes with the product cost plus the production cost plus the promotion plus distribution plus any other expenses in addition to the profit elements on the product. In addition, when products are priced on the basis of cost plus a fair profit, there is an implicit assumption that this sum represents the economic value to the products in the marketplace. So the economic value actually talks about the fact that there is a production cost which consists of both direct and indirect costs, the fixed cost and the variable cost, plus a profit element on the product. Product consideration in pricing. Although numerous product characteristics can affect pricing, three of the most important ones are: one, the characteristics that affect pricing. We have the perishability. If a product is perishable, sometimes prices it is being given a lower price so that it can sell faster in order for the marketers not to lose their money. And product distinctiveness. If the product is distinct from other products on the market, it could be given a higher price. Then we have the stage in the product life cycle. The stage in the product life cycle actually communicates the price you should give to a product. At the introductory stage, the price could be high because you are incurring so much cost. At the growth stage, the price should somehow go with the competitors' pricing on the market. Then at the maturity stage, it's a defensive stage that the firm has to look at. Then at the declination stage, the prices could be reduced so that the product could be sold off the market. Now, the perishability. Goods that are very perishable in a physical sense must be priced to promote sales without costly delays, just as I said. Foodstuffs and certain types of raw materials tend to be in this category. If you don't sell them faster, you, the marketer, may end up losing your money once they get damaged. Distinctiveness. Products can be classified in terms of how distinctive they are. Homogeneous goods are perfect substitutes, goods that we get similar ones on the market for each other, while most manufactured goods can be differentiated on the basis of certain features such as the package, the trademark, the design, and other chemical features. Thus, few consumer goods are perfectly homogeneous. It is difficult for you to get products that doesn't look alike, but for most of the consumer goods, they look alike. That's why we say they are perfectly homogeneous. And one of the primary marketing objectives of most of the firms is to make their products and brands distinctive in the minds of buyers. They want to make their products and brands stand out in the minds of buyers. Large sums of money are often invested to accomplish this task. So most people invest so much money just to make their products stand out in the mind of the customer. And one of the payoffs for such investments is the seller's ability to charge higher prices for distinctive products. Charging higher price communicates that the product is of a very higher quality. The life cycle of the product. The stage of the life cycle that a product has gotten to can have important pricing implications. With regard to the life cycle, two approaches to pricing are scheming and penetration price policies. With scheming, It is when the seller charges a relatively high price on a new product, and with penetration, it is the otherwise. The seller tries to charge a relatively low price on a new product so that the product could gain ground. People adopt skimming just to communicate to people that the product is of a very higher quality. And other people adopt the penetration policy so that more people will try the product for the product to gain ground, with the motive that as time goes on and the product is well known, the price of the product would increase. Environmental influence on pricing decision. How does the environment influence our pricing decisions? Environmental influence on pricing include variables that are uncontrollable by the marketing manager. The marketing manager may not be able to control some variables which will affect pricing. Example, when government comes in that give your product this price, who are you to tell the government that you won't sell it at that price? Products like cocoa and products like those prepaid vendors, all these products follow the government regulations for them to sell to customers. They don't come up with the marketers don't come up with their own prices. Two of the most important of these are competition and government regulations. They are the uncontrollable forces that affect pricing. Competition and government regulations. When competitors set a low price and you only set a higher price, it becomes some way. There are some products that you must strictly follow your competitors. Likewise, when government regulations are being set, you would have to follow, because if you miss that and you price your product different from what the government is pricing, the customer will end up going to purchase the product from somewhere else. Competition. In setting or charging prices, the firm must consider its competition and how competition will react to the price of the product. Initially, consideration must be given to such factors. The factors include 1. Number of competitors. If the competitors are few, you can give your product a bit higher price because you have less or minimum competitors in the market. The customer might struggle before he or she can get to another competitor. But if the competitors are more, there is no need to charge an outrageous price. You need to charge in line with what your competitors are charging. Then marketers also need to look at the size of the competitors. Is it a bigger size or a smaller size? The number of competitors are different from the size in that the number can be, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4. The size can, let's say, one competitor can capture a whole market. So the size talks about the worth of a competitor's product. Then we also look at the location of the competitors. Are they very close or they are widely scattered? Conditions of entry into the industry. Is it a free entry and a free exit industry, or it is not a free entry and a free exit industry? Degree of vertical integration of competitors. Do they own other competing firms? Do they own other competing firms? The number of products sold by competitors. What are they selling? Is it closely related to what you have as a marketer? Then the cost structure of competitors. How do they come up with their costs? Are they looking at the production cost plus a profit element, or they are looking at what others charge on the market, or they are giving it a prestigious price just to communicate the quality of the product? Then again, you look at the historical reaction of competitors to price changes. How did competitors respond to price changes in previous years? Every marketer would have to look at this. Now, let's talk about the other environmental factor that influences pricing: government regulations. Price of certain goods and services are regulated by local and national governments. With some goods and services, it is the government that comes with the price, or the government communicates the price at the top, which is implemented throughout the country. Such examples of products are utilities, that public utilities, ECG, water company, and etc. are examples of national regulation of prices. However, for most marketing managers, national laws that make certain pricing practices illegal are of primary consideration in pricing decisions. And this is to tell you that the government is very much particular about what they communicate with regards to some public utilities or public products or products that is being regulated at the top. With this, you could say that marketing managers must not implement illegal pricing practices. If they do, the government is very much conscious about these things. So if they do, they will be dealt with the law. This brings us to the end of the government's regulations. This basically talks about the factors influencing government regulations. In summary, we have learned that pricing decisions that integrate the firm's costs with these variables mentioned can determine the success or failure of a business. On this note, we will end this session and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.